What's up, YouTube? Fotoshooti here, and welcome back to another tournament report. Um, and it's going to be this month's Tengu Rumble. So we have Tengu Rumble 5 here, which I actually won. Yay! Unfortunately, it was with a rather boring deck. I mean, a lot of people say it's a boring deck, which was Hero Beat. There was the main reason for playing this deck was the builds I built together with Dober for one of the tournaments, where it didn't perform that well, and that was really disappointing because we were quite sure this list was good. So we adjusted the ratios a bit. Um, to still have it be a great build for the mirror match, but also cutting down on some stuff like Super Poly in the main deck and going for a bit more going for still the same route. So we start with the monster lineup. So our hero build is a bit differently compared to like the builds we saw winning past the tournaments in the Discord. So a lot of people went for Snowman Eater, and we didn't agree with it that much. We found that Snowman Eater was really mediocre. Like the only reason for this card to be in the deck was it being a water monster. So it's okay if you draw it, I guess, but I don't think it's like a world beater kind of card. So only having it, the only biggest reason for it is the X to absolute zero, and we found out. This is like a Dob attack. He realized that this card, that Bubberman, is just way better than Snowman Eater. It literally does the same thing and being an water monster for absolute zero, but also has the upside of being a hero monster. So there are multiple things you can do with this card. You're not going to do like any Bubberman or TK special summon shenanigans, since we don't have access to Blade Armor Ninja and X and even especially Excalibur, obviously. So you still can go for a rank 4 exceed with the extra special summon, which is really useful, or was really useful in the tournament. So you have access to Utopian Roach. Roach especially is great in certain matchups. It didn't came up for me, like I didn't play like a single agent deck in the tournament, for example. So yeah, that's why the Bubbleman is in here. Also, like a neat thing is when you send like a Bubbleman and Alias with Future Fusion, you have access to both Shining and Absolute Zero, compared to sending Snowman Eater and Alias, where you only have access to Absolute Zero. So yeah, the other hero monsters are pretty much standard, I think. Triple Alias and Stratos, I don't think there's much to talk about. Then we also run Honest and Thunder King. I think it's pretty self-explanatory as well. And Double Sidra in the main deck. I think that's that's a thing we could also talk about. I think this card is really good going second, and like I already mentioned, this list was designed to beat the mirror match. So we this was the main reason of having it in the main deck. Card was super solid. It randomly wrecks machine decks, which is neat when people decide to play Karakuri. And it's like a super solid beta against us decks like TG, for example. Also outing Catasters. I outed double Catastor in the tournament, which was really good. It's a situation that comes up a lot of times. It's like literally the most some level 5 synchro. Super performed really well. I wouldn't cut it down. God was great. Then we get to like obvious stuff I don't have to talk about, like Dark Hole, the double emergency call, Future Fusion, Also, don't think I would run 3 of this card, even if we play Bubberman. Yeah, we don't want to break onto too many monsters. Like we want to have draw 1 to 2 monsters and interruption. Then Triple Gem Spark, that's a standard. Heavy Storm, Jet Triple Miracle, best card of the deck. Like makes this deck work so much. Shining is one hell of a card. Triple Duality, 1 Rhoda, 1 Monster Reborn, and then 1 Super Poly. We decided to cut down Super Poly to 1, and I feel like that was fine for the tournament. You want to have multiple copies against Hero matchup, but then you can already decide for game 1, 2, and 3. And I think you still have an advantage with just 1 future Super Poly, since people won't expect it. It was like one of the biggest bummer when Doba and I played like in the takeover event, since we both knew we were on that kind of stuff. It's in my first round match, it was really good against Chaos Heroes. I think it was against Jab, and this card single-handedly was responsible for me summoning every hero monster from extra deck. So I was able to summon Nova Master. I mean, Ab-Zero came out multiple times. You don't have to summon that with Super Poly. Gaia came up, which is cool. And unfortunately, the only fusion monster that didn't get summoned was Draco Quest. Would have been hyped to summon that. Then we have double Bottomless, double Prison. I think that's double Hero Blast. That's standard ratios. 1 Mirror Force, Solemn's Torrential. That's pretty self-explanatory. Then we get to the side deck, and there are a couple of things I want to talk about. So the first thing I decided to play was double Skill Drain in the side together with Starlight Road. So we don't have a Starlight Road in the main deck. I think Skill Drain is really good in certain matchups, but I didn't want to have it against like Hero Mirror matches. I think that card is super underwhelming in the Hero Mirror match. And also against like TG or stuff, since that won last Tengu Mania. So I have a lot of chainable stuff, so I didn't want to play the Starlight Road in the main deck. But when the skill drains come in, you basically have like a floodgate, and you want to protect it. So that's the reason why the Starlight Road came in. I never flipped it though, so I can't say how good it was. Cutting this is could also be valid, but I think that theory was correct. What I wouldn't cut is like the triple MSTs. I don't want to deal with like dump Necro Valley stuff or any continuous traps. I don't know, people citing Prohibition, for example. Thanks for that, Himne. And also, for the mirror match, or even for Horndex, Forbidden Lands, I think that this card is so underrated. I think it's one of the best side deck cards in the format. Card does so much, especially going second, and it absolutely wrecks Gemini Sparks. Yeah, wouldn't cut that. Then we play double Super Poly. Like I said, it's already said multiple times. It's designed to beat the mirror match, and you absolutely wreck Hero when you have free in the side deck. Deck is very popular, so I was expecting a lot more Hero in the tournament, to be honest, which didn't happen. But yeah, I feel like the build worked against the 1 Hero matchup I had or tournament. 3 Maxi, I think that is also not debatable. I think that stays in the side. And here's the one thing I think is super cuttable. I played double Vela on the side, and I think this card was super underwhelming. Or not super underwhelming, but it was kind of mid, to be honest. So I would probably cut this. It even comes a bit more obsolete when you play have already set skill drains. So I probably cut this for DD Crows or for Fossil Diners. Since we're playing a couple of traps, I think Fossil Diner would probably be preferred. So yeah, it's like the only change. I wouldn't make much changes to the deck. Then this extra deck we play Utopia, we play Roach. Just like the only things we can summon out of the exceeds. Then you play Trish, Stardust, Bryanek, and Catastor. Like, the only upside to Vela is probably being able to go for synchros. Trish, like, as an effect engagement, was kind of mid, but gave me access to Trishula against in Bogfrog or not matches, which was game breaking in this Swiss match. Yeah. Also having access to a Catastor is kind of neat as well. But I think I would rather have like an additional like good static card for this deck, since Fossadina, for example, against Rock Monarch would have shut them down way earlier, and they wouldn't have had the need to trish him. So yeah, that's like the standard synchros you are running when you are playing Vela. Also, Bryanek. There's an option to make Bryanek in this deck since you have Cyber Dragon and Vela, which normally, especially in game 1, doesn't happen in Heroes. Then we played the hero. I think the hero fusions are pretty standard. Triple Shining, Nova, one Nova Master, one Gaia, double App Zero. No Great Tornado for us, but that's fine. Like having Draco Quest is pretty much just the same. Besides the fact you can also super poly with the Scrap Dragon, for example, which hurts. Which could hurt Scrap a lot. Like, in theory, it should absolutely wreck them, but I haven't seen this getting resolved. And also, Camera Attack. It's also kind of obvious with the side resume. So yeah, this was my first place list, and we will now go to all the replays of my Swiss matches and the top cards. Enjoy. Alright, it's time for round 1. Playing against Jeb, who is on Chaos Hero, so this was the mirror match I expected so much, and I got it in round 1. It must be nice. So, yeah. I go first. I have Duality, Book of Moon, Cyber Dragon, Heavy Storm, use Alias, and Hero Blast. So, having the Alias and the Hero Blast is pretty good. He has Duality, Prison, Miracle Fusion, and Gemini Spark and Heavy Storm. So, he needs that hero access. I get Gemini Spark with the Duality, also Bottomless Miracle Fusion revealed, but having Gem Spark was too good to not resolve. Having Gem Spark with the Alice was too good to not add it. Here I think I made a small mistake. I talked with Dauber about this game afterwards, and I feel like I should have also set the Hero Blast so I could change the Gem Spark just in case Storm. If opponent has access to Heavy, and chain the Hero Blast to get the Alice back. So yeah, that was a bit of an oversight. Yeah, he activates Duality, adds Rhoda, not one of the tour guides. So yeah, he was on that tour guide stuff, which I feel like is a worse version of the hero deck. He baits me a bit into resolving my Gem Spark. Maybe I should have let this through, since I again have Hero Blast in my hand, so I could have let them crash, and then he doesn't have that much. Yeah, he can't go for like Miracle Fusion play. So yeah, it was a misplay by me. But luckily enough, he misplays as well. I activate my E-Call. I get Stratus, and for some reason he doesn't drop Vela. I think after the game he told me he thought I was in the tour guide stuff. But I don't think he I don't know, maybe he wasn't aware of me consistently telling everyone I don't like this deck, like the tour guide version. But yeah, get Eco, get Stratos, I get my search, so I have another Alias in hand again, and I get the first damage of the game. Now I have Hero Blast in hand. Against Mirror Force, Prison, Hero Blast. So yeah, Hero Blast is live. I Duality first, get Solemn Judgment, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty safe here. I heavy. If he has Hero Blast, it's fine. I of course chain my Hero Blast as well. Then I deal damage, and then I have Solemn for potential miracle play if he has one. But he has heavy again, crashes the two aliases, and now we have a pretty simplified game state. I know with some alias, get damage. I thought about this prison a long time. I was like, okay, if he jam sparks, maybe I should. Yeah, I feel like it could. I had to prison people. Now for 1900, he gets Leviathan. Yeah, he gets Turgut and Zangan, goes for a Levia play. I'm not sure why he did that. I feel like so he has Miracle set. I feel like getting the alias back here was a bit greedy. Like he already has alias in hand, so he could have just gone for a Leviathan Dragon and then attack the alias and then have potential access to F-Zero. But yeah, he prefers to have the Shining on board, which is understandable. And then, yeah, this happened. Especially some Cyber Dragon. He has Prison in his back row. And yeah. I attacked the Levier, Prison stat, and then I just chain my top deck Super Poly. So yeah, that's defeats Batman. Yeah. Game 2, he goes for Leviathan immediately. He has Hero Blast, Solemn Warning, Bottomless, the BLS, and second in hand, so he just needs to light the monster to BLS on that. Yeah, I have the perfect out to this. I MST is Solemn Warning. He just said this one, Dark Hole, the Leviathan Dragon, then just hit for Thunder King. Yeah. I'm not going to commentate this game since you can see what happens here. Yeah, that's it. A bit anticlimactic. He drew into Rhoda, Hero Blast, and Miracle Fusion, and Duality. So cards that are dead with Thunder King on field, and cards that only work with Hero Access, which he couldn't have. So yeah, Thunder King is a card in this format. It's an instant win button. So yeah, really cool. Back and forth game 1, and then yeah. Thunder King just saying no in game 2. So anyway, that was round 1. See you for round 2. Alright, here we are. Cut. Here we are back with round 2, playing against Mac Eagleton, who is on Karakuri. So the main deck side drafts are really starting to come in handy. And of course we have one in our starting hand. We also have Sun and Morning, Miracle Fusion, Heavy Storm, part of Duality. He's able to start with a Sun and Morning with unfortunately kinda mid hand MST, drawing also the Hyper, Epirize, Vela, and Institution without tuner access. So we get Duality. I take Equal with Stratos in hand. It's weird. I feel like getting Hero Blast here was the correct play. I get in for enormous sum alias 1900 and keep the Stratos in hand. He goes for Hyper Summon, hits over the alias, switches to the defense, and yeah, gets over it. I summon the Stratos now. It run into a Solemn Warning. Activate Heavy, and I feel like I made this super greedy play here. So I wanted to go for game here, so I use Heavy and pop my own Warning. Special summon the Sidra, go for Camera Attack, and then Miracle. Unfortunately, he has the Vader for the Camera Attack, and I don't attack. And I don't attack into it because I fear Gauss. So yeah, I feel like this play was way too greedy. If I chilled a bit, this match would have been way easier. But now we have Shining, we have Honest hitting for 1/1. He gets quick, I bottomless that, and he has instant fusion as follow-up plays. Yeah. Goes for 8, goes for Burrido. Not sure. I feel like he's screwed up here, I guess. I mean, he can get Everized Life here. I feel like getting Everized Life here was possible without summoning Burrido, so I definitely feel like he should have made Scrap Dragon, since he knew I had Honest in hand. He draws into Reborn, but now his Grey Setup is no longer there. And he also attacks into my Shining, so I feel like he miscalculated here majorly, but I just drop Honest, so it's game. Also, he should have switched some Nizama defense, so this doesn't have to attack. So next game, he opens a bit more solid, has Neutron in hand, searches to double summon guy. I get Warning of Duality, normal sum, the king. He has Storm, by the way, which completely blows me out. Also has Cyber Dragon, and the tune-up plus the level 2, goes for Nat Beast. I feel like that's fine. Yeah. Was kinda sad. Normal some Thunder King, so he has to go for Synchro main phase 2. I feel like this game was super winnable. He'd go for Sidra, normal some Bailer to out Nat Beast, he has Dark Hole and Nizamu. Gets him with the Nizamu. A Dark Hole here, so he doesn't get the extra tuner, and now I just have to pray. He doesn't have Gorse, he has the Gorse, unfortunately. And he has an additional sum. And also my body for the gems bug, so yeah, this was pretty much game over. Kind of unfortunate. Game 2, I open a really good hand. Stratos doesn't get Veiled, so I have Book of Moon, I have Prison, Hero Blast, Miracle Fusion, Gems bug, and Aliens, so that's perfect. He summons Sidra, hits over the Stratos, that's fine. I draw another Eco. I preemptively Gems bug here because I wanted to resolve Miracle. So I normal summon Alias, I Gems bug his back row, and then Miracle to Sidra. Would have been hilarious if I had Sidra in hand still. And then no, I said Prison. I said is super mediocre right now, so I feel like I'm full in control of this game. I also draw this decided in Starlight Road. And now I have like Shining Alias in set 5, and yeah. I can use the Prison here, and yeah. Can pretty much close in the game. Book of Moon, the Nishion Summon, and yeah, it's GG. So yeah. Karakuri, pretty good deck. Shin won with it in this month's takeover. I feel like it has a lot of potential and is pretty much the best combo deck of the format. Kinda unfortunate I was on a build with double Sidras. I feel like I could have played game 1 way less aggressively. Like committing for that heavy storm, especially since he actually had Gorse in his deck, was super risky. Also game 2, a bit of small things I could have probably played better. Game 3 was super solid. I mean, my draws were super solid also. So yeah, and 2-0 now after round 2, beating Karakuris. So we will get now to round 3. Alright, round 3, playing against Hafa, who was on a really weird Frog Monarch build. And I think the Hero Frog Monarch matchup is pretty even, to be honest. It really depends. I think it rewards good technical play, which I always like about certain formats. So, yeah. I normally some Baylor, normally some Stratos. It gets Bailored, unfortunately. Have access to Gemspark, Miracle Fusion. Have Gemspark, Miracle Fusion, Dark Horn in hand, which is super unfortunate that Ayla hurt my soul. He has access to Swap Frog, so went pretty well for him. I know some Stratos. Attack with the Stratos. He draws track. Tribal gets Caius. Banishes one of the random backroads, which is Mirror Force. I also decided not to Judgment the Monarch Summon, which I think was fine. Attack with the Stratos, he chops track and Dark for that, so I try to keep him off sand traps. Yes, no. Gets Ronin in a grave, attacks me. Standard wrong. Especially some Sidra, which is not a very good card against Monarchs, in my opinion. But he has Econ, so Econ plus Treeborn Frog, and now he's able to drop Lad, which I have the warning, unfortunately, so I take a lot of damage here. And he's basically in the driver's seat. I can finally rip a miracle, hit over the track. Decided not to attack. He didn't have like a track or Fader, just not to, and then he fortunately he blows me out with the heavy storm. Now is able to wall me off with the Gachi, which I didn't fund the king. So I go for a Caster. I think it could have been valid to Thunder King the Gachi here. So yeah, I think that was kind of a misplay, and keep the Veiler in hand. Since that, yeah, I have to. You can kill the Gachi, but I don't have my Veiler now. Now he goes for Formula. He goes for Bryanek, most for board. So yeah, having the Veiler still, and also having the Veiler still would have made the difference here. So yeah, didn't play that optimally, so I lost game 1. Game 2, we open a lot of back row. So he Solex my alias. I decided to warning the risers. Didn't want warning to get stacked for obvious reasons. I draw Wobbleman, which is kind of mid. This bottom left should have been banished, by the way. Just realized that now. I probably cheated because of Mask of. I wanted to have Mask of Darkness. Axis. But he has Treeborn in hand, but his hand is pretty super weak right now. No Monarch. So get Stratos, get Bubbleman, hit direct, and he doesn't want to go into Fader. Space the other bottomless. So he draws into another Swap Frog, doesn't have any more Monarch access. Passes here, and now it's an alias. Some alias to get stuff out of my hand. For 1800. Yeah. Yes, Eco and creature swaps. I invested a lot of cards in. I was contented for mirror forcing this year, since I might be able to draw into a Miracle Fusion. And he goes for Gacha, which was the madness and a rip Miracle Fusion. Must be nice. And yeah, keep the materials. Yeah, I think Monarch is obviously a deck that can wall off pretty solid. So that's like one of the infix of the Euro deck. It takes a bit to get the job done. He draws Surface, which was one of his tech cards. I think it was really cool. So he gets back Swap Rock and gets another Rock Engrave, so he can now resolve his Ronin and go for the second Gachi. But I decided enough is enough, and I saw them dead. Activate Soul Exchange, tribute summons for Gores, which is also very interesting. Now some alias. He goes for Treeborn, he tries to hit over the Prisoner. And I definitely should have gone for Trish here. Like, no reason not to. I also don't set the skill drain, which is fine. But yeah, and now I decide to go for the Trish play anyway to win the game, so I don't know why I did this. So yeah, that's like the only upside of Veiler, like especially with Bubbleman going for those nasty Trish plays. He has Battle Fader, he drops another Monarch with Mobius. Unfortunately, I just have skill drain outside of World, or that would have been hilarious. And I decided to prison the Mobius, so I get him off his Treeborn Frog, and yeah, that's this. Like those Frog Monarch matches took like forever. We are in game 3, and he draws like this basically one of Monarch cards. I don't know how Tesla's perform for him. So I get Alias with Duality, which is really good, gets me the spark. No Misted Warning and Gymnast Buck. He unfortunately snipes Gymnast Buck with the MST and then wanting the Tesla loss. Which would be nice to have a hit with the alias, since I think I'm pretty safe right now with Mirror Force, which I deal with it. The treatment from. He banishes my alias, which is obviously the correct play, and I won this. So I feel like I made some suboptimal trades here. Vanity's Feet doesn't matter, I just have to drop bottomless damage and wanting the reborn. I think the main issue here is that I just stopped drawing into any monsters. Like I have a Dead Miracle in hand. It's like part of the hero experience. I finally draw into a monster, which is just a Thunder King. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty over. Maybe could have Miracle. He could have also just soloed the Econ, but then he would have just brought back the Treeborn, stacked my Thunder King, and killed me anyway. So yeah. Losing against Halfa, he's a really good player, one of the top players, Tengu players in my opinion. So no shame losing to him. I think I could have played game 1 a bit better, so I think that was a deserved loss. Anyway, time for our round 4 match. So with the loss against Halfa, I was pretty much in the bubble. And next, I faced Whiskalina from Team Boardwipe, who was in Tengu Plant against heroes, obviously. So one thing to mention before we start with the analysis, the full game or the full live game is on Team Boardwipe's channel. I will link it in the description, so if you want to check it out, you can also watch it with Kalina's commentary. So yeah, he opened Tour Guide, Tengu, Dandelion, Everest, and Control MST. Quite a solid hand. I open Reborn, Bottomless, Gem Spark, Duality, Torrential, so I just need Hero Access. Gets the Sangern. I have side draw, Gemini Spark, E-Core. I obviously get the Oak E-Core. Immediately search Stratos and attack. So I think Gem Spark and Bottomless are pretty solid back rows. Funny thing is, if I set Super Poly here, could have actually absolutely blown him out, since I would have been able to summon 0, but yeah. I tried to summon 0 anyway next with the Future Fusion, but it gets MST, so yeah. Hitting the bottom. Hit the Sangern, he gets the Surge, he sets Glow Up Bulb, which is interesting. He probably wanted to get Q Nexus, especially with the Dandelion, which he also sets. So I see E-Core, Hero Blast, and Thunder King. He wondered why I didn't take one of the other two. The reason is that I have Super Poly in hand, so I wanted a second hero monster, and also get another Search with the Stratos to have more cards in hand. Since you need a discard outlet for Super Poly, hit the tokens. Then he normal sums Bob, goes in the formula, that's fine. Econs my alias, I chain Gem Spark, didn't want to give him a monster. And I just summon another alias and try to hit for a bit of damage. He flips Scapegoat tokens, which I think is pretty mid card and plans, to be honest. So here's the thing, Super Poly finally comes into play for the first time in the tournament. For the second time in the tournament, I actually resolved it against Jeb as well. For the intended mirror match, by the way. He normally sums Tengu, he melts his glow, he sums his glow Bob, and I Super Poly on summon, since I can't let this Black Rose happen. And I'm definitely sure he would have gone for Black Rose. So yeah, Super Poly is Bob, I summon Gaia after Tengu, which is whatever. Unfortunately, he also has Vaporize, which I can't do much about. And he draws into Sporebrook of Moon. Has another econ. Such a great card in plans, so flexible. Overlays for Utopia, so pretty good spot. He Warning's my miracle. I have Reborn. I'm thinking a lot, and eventually decide to search Bubble Man to get another rank 4 play going. Gets Book of Moon. They hit over one of the tokens. He formulas against him, so he shuffled it back. And then he attacks into the prison with Geotopia. So this was like the optimal case. He could have gone for. I think, like, I watched the match from his point of view on this channel. So I feel like not attacking the guy and go for Geotopia was the correct play. But yeah, it doesn't matter for what he goes. It's prison wrecks him anyway. So yeah, he draws into an unfortunate dust shoot. I think he got kind of screwed at the end of the match with his draws. Unfortunately, I don't draw a hero monster, but that's fine. Book of Moon. Yeah, he top decks into one, which just feels bad, and then they close out the game. So we are in game 2. So my hand is Super Poly, Cyber Dragon, so I kept one Super Poly in. Honest, Miracle Fusion, Dimensional Prison. He has Tour Guide, Call of the Haunted, Cyber Dragon, and Torrential and Scapegoat. So I attack with the alias. I feel like setting the goats was a misplay, since now he was playing a bit with the Gauss, or tried to play a bit with the Gauss. The goats turn off multiple things in his hand. Like, it turns off Gauss, and it also turns off the side row getting special summon. So yeah, I think setting goats was wrong here, since it kind of screwed with his entire game plan. So, and also you don't have any tuner access, so it's not like you're doing much with the tokens anyway. So yeah, it hit over one of the tokens. Luckily enough, he draws Foolish and gets Bulb and kind of gets some synchro plays going, but I still feel like, especially he draws another copy of Cyber Dragon. I think drawing for setting goats was the wrong play. I'm thinking about Dimension Imprisoning here, but I have Sidra in hand, so I can out-E Catastor, which I do, and also follow it up with Miracle Fusion. Also some Honest, so I can clear everything of his board. Get one's back. So he specials some Sidra and decides to attack with the Chimera attack. I mean, with Gossenhand, I think you could have also gone for the safe play and Chimera attack me back, but it's an Honest. Playing around the Gorse the entire game, and he finally drops it, but it's super low impact. Now he decides to set all his traps, which he kept in his hand to resolve the scores. So yeah, I think I have Heavy Storm. He chains Call. I Solemnly Call, so he doesn't get a search. Like a Veiler. Even you should side this out for games 2 and 3 against heroes, and I pretty much close out the game. So yeah. Like game 1 he was screwed by his draws. I think he played game 2 incorrectly with the Gauss, but he said that in this video as well. So, and also I think he also mentioned it. Yeah, he mentioned it in the comment here and in the chat. So yeah, I'm now 3-1 after beating Tengu plants, and we will get to round 5. Alright, now we have round 5 of Tengu Rumble, playing against Amazing Mike Man's Drugs. As a bit of a background info, Dueling Book was super laggy, like insanely laggy that day, so it was a pain to play. So I start with Future Fusion, get Bobbleman Alias finally engraved, and set Bottomless Trap Ball. He sets Bottomless Trap Ball as well. He doesn't have a great hand, no Jurak access, like just drawing Aeolo is not great. Now with some Stratos, it gets Bottomless, and then I think he screws up the order with the Veiler, like, yeah, I think yeah, bottomless and Tengu Baylor wasn't. I feel like bottomlessing the Stratos wasn't the correct play. You either Baylor it to went to search, so he dropped Baylor here for nothing. Then he finally draws into Jurak Baylor's. I tried a bottomless, which would have been used, but huge, but he shrinks. Crashes into it, gets another Aiolo. Now he has Aiolo and another Aiolo in hand for rekindling. They draw into Absolute Zero. Trying to Absolute Zero. He gets another Aiolo, and now I decide to Book of Moon to get rid of it. Yeah, and it's quite solid right now. Enormous Valor again. Prisonity Lances, I change Spark, so I finally get rid of. Monsters he's not rekindling here, which could have been an option for him. Like, he has the wrench in the hand, so now we can't get to the part which is super unfortunate. His game disconnects, so. And I summoned the alias and I was like going to attack for game. And he would have had Torrential for that, so both of my monsters would have died. He would have drawn he had Rekindling in hand, Mirror Force. So I'm not sure how this game would have turned out. He took the game loss here, since there's like no way we can recreate this game. He tried to refresh and he just didn't load up in time. So he asked me even if he's lost a match, and I was like, nah, I would just do a game loss. It's like the main thing you do with disconnect. So yeah, I think I handled it fine. Yeah, it was unfortunate, and this was like in that case good for me, but like it's too much of a mess to recreate. So yeah, he took the loss here. So now we go into game 2, which is not a singles match. So he immediately conceded game 1, and we went to another match. He draws a way better hand, has direct access, has Valor, has Stratos here. Such alias, have Super Poly in hand, set the Super Poly. Now I have 3 cards in hand, set 3 cards, Solemn, Super Poly, and MST. He tries to attack with Guaiba. I was like, okay, he probably has he probably has a play, a lance or anything. So I just get Nova Master. I was like, okay, even if he has a lance not into Nova Master, I have to summon. The Nova Master gets to draw a card. One of my favorite, maybe my favorite of the fusions. He draws Darko here, unfortunately. I saw him, and he has Puppet Plan. So first time I see this card getting resolved. He doesn't attack for some reason. Maybe he didn't want to get run into a prison, but I know I have to tribute some Sidra to out Catasta again with camera attack. Yes, Valo and Lance. I get Duality. Getting the alias here was super important, by the way. Normal summon alias. Take into it. Preemptively activate the Gem Spark, which was the correct play. He unfortunately lances, but that's fine. And since I have the warning, now it turns into a really interesting game. He has a YOLO, so he gets back his Valor. And now we have a situation where I actually screwed up. Used Book of Moon, he Solemns, and they could have flipped lands here to close out the game. Missed it for some reason. He has Decree, draws Decree. Luckily enough, he doesn't draw into anything. I spaces back Decree, and finally I secure my spot on top card. So yeah, always a pleasure to play against Amazing Mike Man. He is the drug guy after all. Has a great understanding of the deck. So if you want to check out his guide for Durex, make sure I will link in the description as well, so you can check that out for yourself. So I beat him and move on to top cut. So it's finally time for top 4, playing against current reigning Tengu Mania champion Shinoslav, who was on Tyler's TG Psychic list. So, just to mention here, we are really good friends, have known each other, I think, for like 10 years now. So, this was like a fun game in Discord for 2 friends. He opens Serene Psychic Witch, Satellite Psychic Wizard, part of Everrise, Psychic Jumper, TG Wolf, Effect Railer. I open Duality, Torrential, Sun Judgment, Hero Blast, Thunder King. Duality gets me Hero Access basically with the Future Fusion, which you can activate with Duality activated in the same turn. Now with some Thunder King, hit into the Serene, and now we have a fun game of set 5. So, yeah. He normally some jumper. He clicked too fast with the Euroblast. He obviously was going for priority here. I have to pop the Serene so the jumper doesn't resolve. He gets another Serene, gets the TG Werewolf, and has to preemptively Veiler in the battle phase. I just hit over the jumper. Don't give him anything to float. Now some Silent Psychic Wizard, I was like, okay, we can solemn that now to keep him from getting access to Tuna again. He has Everrise though, but just draws into Asperger and Teleport, which was super unfortunate. I'm not gonna lie. Get out the 0, Werewolf doesn't search. In the end phase, thanks to Thunder King, we just set Gemspark. He gets Serene, Special Sims Asperger, gets Teleport. And in hindsight, I also should have waited here, maybe for the jumper to activate the effect, but yeah, I was like, okay, I Gemspark the Android if he has Miracle as a follow play. What Miracle Secret Fusion? As a follower play, I have F0 to deal with the Accent Fighter. But luckily enough, I don't need to deal with the Accent Fighter anyway, since I top deck honest with Gemspark. So kind of unfortunate. Jumper now finally gets the resolve, since he also reborns Serene, and yeah, honest seals the game. Game 2, we open pretty much beat down strategy. Has Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment, and Mirror Force. So especially some Sidra, I know some Alias. They don't play Mirror, which I think was fine since his Stratus replaced himself, so it was like trading a 1-for-1. Duality gets me some my Solemn Judgment, and now some Alias, and now we should have a pretty open game. I wanting the Tengu. Like is fine, but unfortunately he has Solemn Judgment and he just kills me. So yeah, sometimes it goes like this. He can summon Psychic Life Transfer, which is So game 3, I open a really good hand. Say Future Fusion, and only thing I would want is that I have to Future Fusion for Shining instead of F0 since my Bubble Man is in hand. Now with some Alias, now I have Gemspark, Hero Blast, and Skill Drain. He specials some Sidra, I Gemspark that. Unfortunately, he lances at me. But we're still in a good spot. So he flips Serene, I prison that. I feel like it can take a bit of damage. Get my Shining with no banished material through this. Oh, always defeats Batman. He hits, crashes into Serene, a Hero Blast. Yeah, normal some the Alias, since I have a Gemspark, he Chaos Trap also. Yeah. I clicked a bit too fast. Normally, shouldn't stuff let me take it back. Yeah. Don't do that. think about your plays. So he goes for Jumper. Jumper and flip skill drain. He goes for a beatdown Fishula, which is now stronger than my Shining, but a super poly for F-Zero, and now it's pretty much game over. I have to crush my F-Zero into Fishula, but that's fine. The top deck Miracle, and yeah, that's pretty much game over. So I secure my place in finals. Huge shout out to Shinoslav making it so far with Psychics. I think that's a really cool deck, which I built in real life, so I will probably play it a bit more in the future. So, anyway, that was it for the top 4 match, and we will move on to finals. Here we are facing off against Halfa in the finals. My only loss. So yeah, he's playing Frog Monarchs. We will see what he opens. He opens Treeborn, Foolish, Kaya, Surface, Light and Darkness Dragon, Reborn. That's a special some side. Or I was like, oh no, I'm drawing into too many monsters against Monarchs. Don't attack into it. He could have attacked here, obviously, but yeah. Did felt a bit bad. There was a case to Mirror Force the Riser here. Get another hero on board. But I feel like it wasn't necessary. So he also does something interesting here. He normally summons the Light and Darkness Dragon, with tributing the Razor and Treeborn. His set would be a bit slow if it wasn't for the Treeborn Frog. A bit bricky if it wasn't for the Treeborn Frog. So, but I have so the Light and Darkness Dragon was pretty good. Would have been pretty good to slow me down a bit, but I have like the perfect. I special some Sidra, normal some Alias, special some Bubbleman, some Utopia. I try to negate the attack. Light and Darkness Dragon has to negate, and we have to clean out. He gets Reborn Frog, has Sakaias, targets one of my random backward switches. Reborn, which I had to set, so I could special some Bubbleman. I decided to not use Reborn in the Stratos here, which I think was fine. Maybe you could have flipped Reborn, get in Stratos and get the search, but I don't know. It pays. I mean, it pays off here. The Mirror Force above Monarchs. And what he was going for here was he wanted to Reborn his Kaias and bounce it back with Swap Frog, but I just Hero Blast on the Reborn, so he can't do that. No, I also get the Hero Blast. So yeah, game is pretty much over right now. The deal is solid 4K. Sits a Gem Spark. He has Reborn, but he doesn't draw him into a Monarch. I Soul X here. He Soul X's here. I Chamber's Gem Spark, so he did that to bait it out, but I was like, okay, he just a top deck Monarch would absolutely wreck me, so I prevent that. But I tried to prevent that, but maybe he could. Maybe I don't know. Like we can prevent by popping in Treeborn, we can at least prevent the Light and Darkness Dragon from coming out. That was like the only case. I said Hero Plus warning, you know. It looks really good. He finally drops into a Monarch with just warning that. Yeah. Treeborn was Ronin. To be honest, was super good for walling off, but now it gets Hero Blasted. Yeah. I don't know if the Gem Spark was the correct play on the Soul Exchange. I feel like it was. Like it outs, if he draws a Monarch, it outs my Alias with leaving me with that Gem Spark and also outs my Utopia. So we start in game 2 with Thunder King, Prison of Warning, that Gem Spark, that Hero Blast, and a Tarantula in hand. I have the Warning Mobius here, which is funny. Playing Mobius is based. Now we see I accidentally put the skill ring back in my hand when I wanted to send it to the grave. So now how far I know, I'm did not cheat. It was actually the skill ring, like we talked about this. That and I was like, I feel like you believe with me that it was the skill ring. So he drops Lad, and unfortunately I can't do much about it. I draw into that Vela. I draw into that Miracle Fusion. I feel like this game would have been winnable if I would have drawn into a hero, which is not Stratos at some point. Yeah, we get pretty much beaten down here. Yeah, I mean, I can run over to that, but it gets Mobius back. Yeah, nothing much I can do here. And then the all-deciding game 3, which you see half his hand is Soul Exchange, Ronin Totem, Razor, and Jinzo. So no Tribune Frog access. He gets enemy controller. I hit into the Ronin. My hand is Bubbleman, Veiler, Lance, Gemspike. I could have gone for the Trish play immediately. Could have gone for the Trish. This time I feel like I go for that Trish play a bit too early. Like I'm investing a lot of stuff here. If he draws Storm, I'm pretty much dead. So I think, luckily enough, he has. I hit the crow, so my Gemspark is live. I tried to normal sum for a second time, which was, I got a bit too excited after resolving the Trish, but maybe we could have chilled a bit with the Trish. And it ends up working out since I'm sword exchanging. His only way to get a Monarch on board with a Lance sword exchange, which was the only way to get a Monarch on board. Preemptively flipped skill range, so he, even if the Gorse get summoned, he doesn't get the token. But yeah, he draws into that swap. So yeah, he kind of got screwed by completely, absolutely breaking here, breaking to hell. Yeah, it has surface and creature swap as backrow. So unfortunate. Game 3 in the finals for Alpha. Still congratulations for making it, getting second place with an absolute based list. He plays that. He's by far the best Frog Monarch player in this format. Plays it a lot. Is able to make an underpowered deck in Tengu format work. So huge props to him, especially since Monarchs is a deck that can be kinda limited from some time. He was testing a lot of one of the. His opinion was that Surface was a good card, and I felt the same in our games at least. So unfortunately, the boring hero deck won and not the best frog one in this. But yeah, there's always the next time. So that was my Tango Rumble, going all the way to the finals this time, and you will see me next time.